So we need to talk about Candace Owens. You know that I am not a fan of talking about other creators. I think that all of us are doing the best we can in, well, every single way. But this is getting so big and so many people are having meltdowns over this that since I talk about manipulation, since I talk about mass persuasion, since I talk about everything that is going, and well, there's disinformation and misinformation campaigns. There's a lot of stuff going on around TPUSA and Candace Owens right now, especially with that challenge that some say that Candace accepted, some say that Candace chickened out. Let's find out really what happened. And I already made a video yesterday about the actual, challenge that TPUSA basically said that, okay, we're going to go live in the near future. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And you are very welcome, Candace, to go with us, to be live with us. And, with some caveats. Before we get started, I just want to tell you that I had a really nice conversation with Adam Krigler on the Krigler Show for almost 1 hour and a half yesterday, and it went really smooth. I'm going to leave you with a link in the description. We spoke a lot about the United States and Venezuela, so you can have a real in-depth understanding of what is going on, and other topics, including, of course, all this mass manipulation thing that is going on. It was a real nice conversation. Big shout out to Adam Krigler. So we're ready to begin. I already made a video about this. You can watch this here on my Body Language Guy channel with a very thorough analysis of what was the proposal behind this. Like, we're going to do a live stream. We're going to address every single claim of Candace Owens, and Candace Owens is invited to join us. I know that they didn't say that they didn't give the option that it could be online or she could be on her studio. I thought about that. I was making a video and said that that would be a way to do it. I mean, Candace being on her studio back at home and doing the debate live. I say, what is the problem with that? So many stuff happens that way nowadays. It's really convenient. So, lo and behold, Candace actually accepted the sort of challenge or the invitation. We could say that it was an invitation right now. This is what she said.
Trying to gaslight us on answering basic details. So we just went for it. And guess what? Turning Point has moved to formally respond to all the things that we have said. And after a very long diatribe in which they wildly misrepresent the public and global investigation of Charlie Kirk's assassination, they at long last issued a public invitation or a challenge. I'm not sure what it is, but I accept. Okay? Quite literally, all we have ever asked for were sensible answers to our basic questions about what transpired on September 10th. And it looks like we're going to get those things. So major win.
So I forgot to say something at the beginning of this video. It was very important just to frame this conversation and you understand where I come from. I am not a Candace Owens fan. I don't watch her show. I really don't pay much attention to what she says besides, my timeline being flooded all the time with people coming back and forth over this. But I see that people are so hell-bent on saying that she has this absurd amount of power to destroy the conservative movement. That's when I say, hey, wait a second. Wait a minute. I don't know if this is getting out of control. But having said that, this is very important. This video is not to defend Candace in any way. Again, I am not a fan. But I want to set a couple things straight that I don't think that are fair. I like fair discussions. I thought that this could be a fair approach to this. But then Blake Neff, the same guy that you saw, talking about the challenge or the invitation to Candace Owens, he says, the live stream we announced on the show Wednesday has been set. They hadn't set the time, the day and the time. At 4 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. local time on Monday, December 15, a collection of Charlie's friends will respond to statements made by real Candace Owens to set the record straight once and for all prior to the opening of America Fest. We'll be live streaming from Charlie's Phoenix studio, our offer from yesterday holds. If Candace wishes to join us in person, she is welcome to do so. She can let us know by the end of today. So, yeah, again, I want to say that again, so there's no question about that. I am not a fan of Candace Owens. But if somebody say, okay, we disagree with the body language guy. The body language guy is, defaming us with something. The body language guy just went bananas and said all those things. We're going to debunk all these things that the body language guy said, and we're going to do it at a live stream that we have not announced yet. And people are going to attack me and say, hey, body language guy. People are going to debunk every single body language analysis that you have made of, I don't know, Meghan Markle, but which could be quite an achievement. That would be a massive achievement to do that. And imagine that and saying, okay, let's do this. And they just have a fixed date without talking to me first. All right. So they are, the idea would be to debunk what I say, but then they don't send me any emails, they don't contact me in any way, and they just announce it out of the blue. And they say, if Jesus is interested in participating, then he had to say yes by the end of today. Wait a second, Paul. What if I had plans or something? And again, you might be asking, this has to be the most important topic for Candace Owens, like in forever. She must be ready to do whatever it takes to go there, but I can understand that it could be very convenient to do it from her own studio and do it in a live fashion. I personally don't see any problem with that. In fact, she said that it could be even today that they could do that as soon as possible by doing it online. It's like my studio. If you want it, it's my conversation with Adam. We did that like the same day. We just messaged each other, let's do this, and we did a conversation. That's how this works. But no, it's like they were forcing you to say, okay, are you up for it in person? And you have to say that by the end of the day. Are you really interested in a conversation? I mean, maybe they can fix this by saying that Candace can actually do this online. They should, because that has to be a possibility. And that is my opinion. And Candace says, kind of weird how you didn't email or call me to ask about times or availability and chose to instead tweet this confirmation out at midnight. Why am I learning about this on X? And by the way, if you think that she was not notified, she can let us know by the end of today. What Blake tweeted implies that they haven't said anything to her, that they hadn't arranged anything with Candace Owens. And if you think that TPUSA can do whatever they want and not care about Candace Owens' availability, then you will be right as well. They can do whatever they want. But this is a thing that they have the right to do so, but it's also in their best interest that they think that Candace Owens is hurting their reputation. Then the best way to reverse all that damage that, according to them, it's happening, that they are being really harmed because of this, it would be a good idea to make sure that Candace herself can attend the thing and even have even more publicity to that. Because you want publicity. That is good publicity for TPUSA. That would be good publicity for Candace Owens. That would be good publicity for everybody. So why not just arrange a date and time that works for everybody in that regard? I don't have an answer to it. I don't have an answer to that. So yeah, December 15th it does not work in person, and 2 p.m. Pacific time is also literal time I do my podcast live every day, which you knew. But she says, this is important, but we will happily cancel the daily podcast and we'll join you guys virtually instead of for the live stream on the 15th. If that works on your end, let's lock it in. So she's saying, okay, I'm just going to skip my podcast and go live with you. And people are taking this, like in this day and age, in which, for example, you want to go on Piers Morgan, and you don't have to go physically to Piers Morgan's studio. Usually, guests are from their own studios at home. That's how it works. For example, when I've been invited, for example, on GB News, I was in my studio and we did that online. I didn't have to go to the UK to do those interviews. That is something normal. That's something that we do all the time in these days. So I don't know why people are saying that Candace is tapping out, chickening out. There's just forfeiting. She's just saying that she's saying no to what? She's saying let's do this online. In fact, one guy that not even share the guy's account. He said that she's not even willing to do it live, and he posted this screenshot. And she's saying literally, we will happily cancel the daily podcast and we'll join you guys virtually. And you see the replies. This is crazy stuff that is part of the point that I want to make with this video. You see people replying to that post and people agreeing that, yeah, Candace doesn't have the guts to do even live. And you say, but it's in the screenshot itself. Did you take time to read the screenshot at least? And again, this is a bit confusing. She made sure to double down on, we'll also add that I'm happy to jump on Charlie's show any day before then, virtually as well. I was serious when I said we could do it today even. Virtually, I can make it happen pretty much any day because it's easier to move things around with the kids and find someone to sub for my morning homeschooling. People are criticizing Candace because of this. Again, I have no horse in this race, but I think that virtually is fair game. Why wouldn't be fair game virtually? Oh, if she can claim to have technical problems with the connection or something, then maybe they can reschedule for another day when she doesn't have technical problems. I mean, it may be a bit silly. Why virtual can't work? But let's say that in person is the only way. Let's say that the invitation was only for in person. There was no way that it could be done virtually, and they were not clear about that. But let's say those were the rules of the game. Okay, so Candace Owens is like not agreeing to that, but in fact that is the problem. That I see that I'm thinking about that as I'm speaking, and precisely if the TPUSA guys wanted to do something really spectacular, just make sure that Candace Owens is in there in person. And to make sure that Candace Owens is in there in person, make sure to arrange a time and date that she can attend. You know that would be spectacular for you, for TPUSA, if you can debunk the claim. If you have the receipts to debunk Candace Owens face-to-face, now I'm putting myself on TPUSA. Let's say that I am the mastermind behind TPUSA right now. I would say, okay, we have the receipts to totally destroy Candace Owens. But the best way to do this is to throw a bait. Let's say we're gonna have a conversation. We want you in the studio. Maybe we can go to a neutral studio. Maybe we can arrange this in the Patrick Beck-David podcast, maybe the Steven Crowder podcast, in a third-party studio. Why not? Like a neutral territory, something like that. That would work. That would be much better for TPUSA because TPUSA has a vested interest into debunking Candace Owens' lies. And what better way to do it than do it to her face? So if you are not interested to having Candace Owens in the flesh, that is strange. I have to say that. Again, I am not fan. I am the longest that you can be, the farthest that you can be from Candace Owens fan, but I know how mass persuasion works, and TPUSA is being really unpersuasive, anti-persuasive right now. So we have other creators that I respect a lot. There are many creators out there. I respect the trajectory of Tim Pool, of Jeremy from the Quartering. In fact, Jeremy from the Quartering, you must know, it's one of my inspirations behind doing this rapid fire videos. I mean, the guy has that experience. He inspired me to that. Matt Walsh, I've mentioned him a lot of time. Steven Crowder, I am not a fan of Steven Crowder, but I respect his trajectory and profession. He has personal issues, as anybody has. Many people doesn't like him. Many people like him, like everybody. But in this case, I see Jeremy from the Quartering. But first, let's talk about Tim Pool. Tim Pool was saying that this is why we have not been silent. No, this is Crowder CEO, the CEO of the Steven Crowder show. Tim Pool was addressing Candace Owens as she was dividing conservatives and destroying the conservative movement, and implying that the midterms are in jeopardy because of Candace Owens. And I say, like, what? I think that is it's just an overreach. Overreach is the word. I couldn't believe that he was saying that, but he said that. And then Jeremy from the Quartering said, Tim is right. When we lose the midterms, it will be in no small part, not entirely due to Candace Owens. I mean, seriously? You are saying this not in a satirical way? She is entitled to cover the content she wants, but she's become no different than CNN to me, an outright powerful enemy of the right. CNN is not a powerful enemy of the right at this point. So making that comparison is not the brightest one. Hell-bent on destroying it. Hell-bent on destroying the right. Do you know what is CNN's actual influence right now over the right? So let's say that the analogy did not help. That analogy did not help. There are other voices saying the things that I share. I'm going to explain. This is Coping, says Noah. If you think Candace is making or breaking the movement, then the movement is already cooked. People care about the economy and not being told things are great when it's not. Republicans need to get their heads out of their asses. And the Quartering says, she's either the #1 podcast in the world or she isn't, dude. It's not a cope. I'm going to address the numbers, the actual numbers, to be serious about this, how this works. Jeremy Prime, shout out to Jeremy Prime from D-Day Cobra from Geeks and Gamers. Candace is a compulsive liar. Again, so many people have opinions on Candace Owens. This is one of those opinions. But she doesn't have the impact you think she does. I agree with Jeremy. Trump controls whether we win the midterms or not some random podcaster. If he crushes the economy and deportations, we win. Simple. I agree with it, Jeremy. I agree with that. At the same time, there are creators like Colonel Kurtz. Big shout out to Colonel Kurtz. She was amazing during the Depp versus her trial. She was amazing during the Marilyn Manson stuff. She was amazing during the this Blake Lively stuff as well. And she now is doing a series that we need to talk about Candace or becoming Candace Owens. I think that is the series that she's making. She has all the right. I'm going to watch that. I probably would watch that. That is interesting. As long as it's shorter than Candace Owens shows, I would watch that. I need to focus on the actual threat. You know that what the actual threats are. And but good for them. Good for what they are doing. I disagree with the quartering's opinion. I disagree with Tim Pool's opinion, but I respect their opinion and I respect their trajectories and their what they have done. And this is my take. I'm going to talk about the numbers. I mean, I have studied YouTube for a long time, and I think I have the chops to know about the numbers, the raw numbers that we're talking about. You see that Candace Owens, her main show is live. You can go to Candace Owens' YouTube channel, and you see that her main shows are in the live tab, the live streaming. And it's not only that the people that watches the show live, but you can see the views on those shows after the fact, after they are finished. And you see that she averages 2 million views per live stream. Every single one of those live streams averages 2 million views. You can see that on her channel right now. Let's round it up to 2 million for easier calculations. I will put her hate watchers at 20%. What are hate watchers? I'm sure that not everybody watches Candace Owens because they love her. A lot of people must watch it because they want to find ways to disprove what she's saying and create content about that. That's how most of the attention economy works. And in fact, being Candace Owens so popular and so controversial, and a lot of people on YouTube are making videos trying to debunk what Candace Owens says. So you can imagine that many people are going to just hate watch her show just to say, oh, she's wrong about this, or she's making things up, she's not bringing the receipts, or let's make this video about this, or let's make this tweet about this. I will say that around 20% is hate watching. So that leaves us with 1.6 million of people per episode. I mean, she can have this aggregate amount of views on her channel, but we need to go to the nitty-gritty, which is the number of views per episode, the people who come back to each show to watch the shows. Okay, that is important. Right now, we started with 2 million, which is the average. We are at 1.6 million after taking those hate watchers away. Now, YouTube metrics can vary wildly, but when it comes to influence, it means the people that watch your videos consistently. Okay, for example, I have about a reach of 1 million people per month. That is my total audience. The people have watched at least one of my videos in a month. And you can imagine that if somebody watches one of my videos in 1 month, I am not influencing that person the same that those who watch 30 of my videos each month, right? Or in all over my channels. That is a different thing. Those who, my lovely body language buddies who watch all my videos or watch daily at least one video on the Roger Rogue or on this channel, those are the people that I influence, and that those are definitely not near 1 million. Those must be more like 100, 200,000, more around that number. But again, so let's say that we have 1.6 million viewers per show on Candace who are there for her. Not all of those will be from the US. Okay, in my case, United States viewers are around 65%. In what I've studied in YouTube channels, even if YouTube channels are focused on United States topics, it will never be more than 75%. 75% is like tops, okay? Because you will have a lot of people from other countries who just want to know what Candace Owens has to say. Yeah, that is a reality. So you have between 65% and 75% from the US. Let's say for a minute that Candace Owens has that 75% audience coming from the US. How much is that? So basically, her actual influence in the United States boils down to 1.2 million individuals. Those 1.2 million individuals from the United States are the ones who watch every single one of her shows. 1.2 million individuals. All right? It's important. Is that enough to, quote unquote, divide the American conservative movement? 1.2 million. Let's say that we add I don't know. I know that she's on in other platforms than in X, but the problem is that we cannot simply aggregate all of that because, yeah, people will be on X, but will be the same that are following her on YouTube or Spotify. Let's say it's not 1.2 million. Let's say it's 1.5 million. And let's say that we can take the 2 million people. Is 2 million people, which is a non-negligible amount, I can understand. But is that enough to derail the conservative movement? And at the same time, what are Candace Owens' topics? She is either talking about Brigitte Macron or she's talking about TPUSA. If those are her main topics that she's talking about in basically every single show, how is that a threat to the conservative movement? I simply, I don't know if I'm dumb. I see Tim Pool, Tim Pool and Jeremy from the Quartering saying that this is happening, that she is about to derail the midterms. And I say, I'm totally lost on this. I cannot make the connection. The math ain't mathing. Because TPUSA, without Charlie Kirk, still has around 4 times the influence of Candace Owens. 4 times. I did the math already. So if anything, I don't know, the people who reject Candace Owens are even, I don't know how to say this, but in many ways, it's like Candace Owens is helping keep TPUSA on that's how the attention works. That's how attention works. Yeah, we could even say that this is a very slight net positive for TPUSA. I wouldn't be surprised. If I could see all the analytics with my experience in PR, with my experience on mass communications, I wouldn't be surprised in the least that, okay, these guys, the TPUSA dudes are worried of the attacks, etc. But this is a net positive for TPUSA as a brand, and because that's how it works. That's how it works. So I think what is happening is that many creators have discovered that, okay, Candace Owens can be a source of content in herself. But no, she cannot be a threat to the conservative movement. I think that is baloney. I generally think that is baloney. If she keeps talking about Brigitte Macron and TPUSA, I don't know how can that fracture the conservative movement in the United States. I simply don't see it. Maybe I'm missing something that you can explain to me in the comments. And at the same time, you can tell me, what do you think about that invitation or challenge of TPUSA, and why weren't they really invested on bringing Candace Owens in person, maybe to a neutral studio, and well, let's debate this. Let's talk about this. I simply not get it. So I wanted to talk about that, but now it's your turn to have the best takes, only the best takes in the comments, because I know how brilliant you can be in the comments. My Bottle Language Buddies, my name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Bottle Language Guy. Remember that I also have my American politics channel, The Power Pundit. Much love and bliss.